I'm joined on the Crispin Flintoff show by Jean-Francois Nellan, spokesperson for Chagossian Voices. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, doing good. Thank you.
Look, thank you so much for agreeing to speak on the show because I didn't know anything about the Chagos Islands until this story came out in the last 2 weeks. I'm just going to play a video of the story and then ask if you could talk about what's going on.
Britain will give up sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, it said on Thursday. However, it retains the use of the strategic airbase on Diego Garcia, jointly operated with the United States. Its operation is protected by the agreement. The deal would allow people displaced decades ago to return home and resettle the rest of the islands. It marks a change of approach to the issue from new British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. US President Joe Biden welcomed the deal and said it would secure the effective operation of the airbase into the next century. Britain has controlled the region since 1814. In 1965, it detached the Chagos Islands from Mauritius to create the British Indian Ocean Territory. It then evicted almost 2,000 residents to Mauritius and the Seychelles to make way for an airbase on the largest island, Diego Garcia. In 2019, a non-binding resolution in the United Nations General Assembly said Britain had wrongfully forced the population to leave and should give up control of the islands. Mauritius Foreign Affairs Ministry and Prime Minister's Office did not immediately respond to requests for comment.
In July, this government inherited unfinished business where the threat was real and inaction was not a strategy. Inaction posed several acute risks to the United Kingdom. First, it threatened the UK-US base, from countering malign Iranian activity in the Middle East to ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific. It's critical for our national security. Without surety of tenure, no base can operate effectively nor truly deter our enemies. Critical investment decisions already being delayed. Second, it impacted on our relationship with the United States, who neither wanted nor welcomed the legal uncertainty and strongly encouraged us to strike a deal. Mr. Speaker, I am a transatlanticist. We had to protect this important relationship. And third, it undermined our international standing. We're showing that what we mean is what we say on international law and our desire for partnerships with the global south. This strengthens our arguments when it comes to issues like Ukraine or the South China Sea. And Mr. Speaker, further legal wrangling served nobody's interests but our adversaries. In a more volatile world, a deal benefited us all, the UK, the United States and Mauritius.
What do you feel about that as an actual move by the UK government?
Well, unfortunately, the voice of Chagossian is not well represented, and they have not even been consulted at any stage of the legal journey, political, including removal from the island, sending to Mauritius, and now by handing sovereignty from the UK to Mauritius. The UK government has a duty towards its citizen. When I'm saying citizen, that's including the overseas territory citizen as well, to engage with them before they make any agreement to a foreign country. And the Chagossian, they are the one that's been suffering. When we go back to the 1960s, the then Labour government, they agreed like a deal with Mauritius on the back of the people of the Chagos. And they have done it again in 2024. They have agreed another deal on the back of the Chagossian people. And we are the one that's suffering from that deal.
So the way that it's been dressed up as well by some people in the media and the Labour Party is that this is sort of decolonialising, that we're getting rid of a colony, and this is a positive thing for the British to do that. But it doesn't sound like they're actually doing that, because they're actually still got a base that they're working with the United States on. So they're not actually moving out of there, are they?
No, they are not moving. The way they are doing it, they are handing sovereignty to Mauritius, but then they are excluding Diego Garcia out of that, where they are going to retain, well, they say they're going to be administered together with Mauritius. But then they are renting this back from Mauritius. It doesn't make sense at all, that kind of deal they are doing. But if we look back again from the history, when the Chagossian were forcibly removed from the island, most of them, they were on Diego Garcia. But now, they won't be allowed back on Diego Garcia. They are saying, oh, there might be, but there's no guarantee there will be a resettlement on the outer island, but that will be exclude Diego Garcia. What about people, they were born from Diego Garcia, like my grandmother? She's in her 80s. She won't be allowed back on Diego Garcia. There's a couple of my colleagues, they were born on Diego Garcia. Does that mean they won't be allowed back? And on top of this, adding salt in the wound, when David Cameron was Prime Minister, they announced like a supporting package for the Chagossian community in the UK and around the world to improve their life in the UK and to get them some kind of heritage visit back on the Chagos, including Diego Garcia. But now they have scrapped their visit as well. There won't be any visit allowed on Diego Garcia.
Right. And there's a lot of people from the Chagos Islands who live in the UK like you do. And would you regard yourself as a refugee from the Chagos Islands, and that you'd like to return?
Well, I won't say refugee. I'll probably say we are living in exile, because that's where we call home, the Chagos.
Right.
And like I say, like most of us now live in the UK. It's like the population of the Chagossian now, we are talking about just around 10,000 of us, but the majority living down in Crawley, and there are a few, the second biggest in Manchester, and we have a few as well live in Derby, and they're just scattered across the country now.
So you're talking about 10,000 people who have. Right. I mean, but when I say refugee, I mean that people were forcibly moved out of Diego Garcia, weren't they? It wasn't like they voluntarily left.
No, they were. The way it was then at that time, the 1960s, well, when I say the US and the British official, they went onto the island, and they were saying, oh, there were no people living on the island. There was only like Men on Friday or Tarzan. That's what the island. That's how the Chagossian were described by the UK.
So they've kind of dehumanized the people as well. They've sort of made out that they're not real. There's hardly anyone there. It doesn't really matter. There's no one really living there.
Exactly, and they said like everything needs to be wiped out on the island, and that's exact what they've been saying, and it's all been documented. So what
talking about the 1960s, which isn't that long ago. I mean, they're talking about wiping out people on an island. I mean, if that had been said of what they did in America, you know, that's what they wiped out the native population there. I mean, people were speaking out against that. It seems as though no one's been speaking out on this in the UK.
Yeah, it's been kept secret. Like I don't think there were a lot of people that knows about the Chagos story until recently, when it's been last week, when it's been on the news. It's been kept all the way secret because the crime the US and the UK and Mauritius has done over the past 55 years, and they have kept this stuff in secret. But like I say, like the way people were removing off the island, the military personnel, they threatened the people by putting gun next to their head, and they put all their pet into like a chamber and gas all their pet with the fume from the vehicle, just to scare them, to get them off the island.
Wow. I mean, this is and the thing about talking about, because we don't know the geography that well, because we're so far away from there here. But Mauritius is a long way from the Chagos Islands. I've got a picture here. I mean, 2,000 kilometers away. It's not really. I mean, it's a legacy of the empire that they're put into the same bracket, really, because the United Kingdom or whatever invaded and took over in 1814. That they've made them as if they're the same, but that's just because they were part of the same United Kingdom archipelago, but they're not actually very close geographically.
No, correct, they're not. And but when there was the Paris Treaty in 1814, France ceded those islands to United Kingdom, including Mauritius, and that's including the Seychelles, which was part of that group. There was Réunion Island, but France kept Réunion Island as their overseas territory. So there were Mauritius, Chagos, and Seychelles they were set to UK, and Seychelles went to ask for their independence, and then the UK brought the administration of the Chagos onto Mauritius to administer it. And then Mauritius went to ask for their independence. But now Mauritius is claiming that the Chagos was part of its territory. But if they are saying this, they probably, don't know, maybe down the line, they probably say, oh, the Seychelles was part of my territory too. I want the Seychelles. But
right. I mean, what do you obviously don't feel confident about Mauritius's as the ruling country of Chagos Islands? Is that part of it, that you're worried about what Mauritius is like, or is it just the principle that it should be self-determination?
Well, there's many reasons. One of the main reasons, democratically, the Chagossians have a right to decide the future. So, like I said, a referendum, self-determination for the Chagossians to decide. Second reason, we know how the Chagossians been treated in Mauritius. We've always been treated as a second-class citizen. And Chagossians were facing racism in Mauritius. They were not well looked after in Mauritius. There's a statement from the UN, from the UN Special Rapporteur, published on the 31st of March 2021. And like mentioned, all the issues that Chagossians have been facing in Mauritius.
We would like to bring to the attention of Your Excellency's government information we have received concerning the cultural, social and economic barriers facing exiled Chagossian people living in Mauritius following the secession of Chagos Islands from the Mauritius by the United Kingdom government in 1965. These barriers include the lack of formal recognition of the Chagossians in the Mauritian constitution, disproportionate poverty facing the Chagossian population, and continued racial discrimination facing the Chagossian population in Mauritius.
Mauritius went into RCJ back in 2019 when they are claiming they put a case code against the UK. They are trying to erase our identity. Mauritius does not recognize Chagossian as a people. They are calling us, we are Mauritian, but we are not. I was in Geneva at the UN in July, talking about the Chagossian community. I can send you some of those videos as well. That's how the Mauritian representative at the UN was, how we say that, like the way they were talking about the Chagossian. I'll send you that video. You can listen it yourself and make your own conclusion.
Thank you, Madam President. Mauritius wishes to make this statement regarding the participation in this forum of some individuals claiming to represent, I quote, the indigenous population, unquote, of the Chagos archipelago. The Mauritius delegation wishes to emphasize that there has never been an indigenous population on the entire Mauritian territory, which includes the Chagos archipelago. Mauritius is a multiracial and multicultural country populated by people whose ancestors came from Africa, Asia, and Europe, and where all the people enjoy the same rights. Mauritius believes in zero tolerance when it comes to racial discrimination. No military base is being built in Agaliga. The infrastructural projects on that island are intended to improve the standard of living of Agalians. Mauritius has ensured the active involvement of Chagossians in its efforts to facilitate their return to their Chagos archipelago, including in the ICJ advisory proceedings. Although the negotiations on the exercise of sovereignty over the Chagos archipelago are between the governments of Mauritius and the United Kingdom, the government of Mauritius has been having regular consultations with the Chagossians based in Mauritius to ensure that their rights are safeguarded. The ICJ has authoritatively determined that the Chagos archipelago is and has always formed part of Mauritius, and has affirmed that the right to self-determination belonged to and was meant to be exercised by all the people of Mauritius as one territorial unit. It also recognized that the resettlement of Mauritian nationals, including those of Chagossian origin, is to be addressed as a part of the complete decolonization process of Mauritius. Mauritians of Chagossian origin, or any of the former inhabitants of the Chagos archipelago, are therefore not and cannot be considered as indigenous people or indigenous population. The presence of some individuals claiming to represent the, I quote, indigenous population, unquote, of the Chagos archipelago in this forum is therefore not warranted, and their statements are irrelevant. I thank you.
The reason I'm saying we are not Mauritian, when the Chagos was still under France brought people from Mozambique, Zimbabwe to work on the island. That's even before Mauritius became a state. But now they are saying, oh, the Chagossian of Mauritius, they're trying to erase our identity. The Mauritian government has passed a law, like people like myself, if I'm talking against the sovereignty, I'm liable to 10 years prison. So potentially if I go to Mauritius, they can arrest me. When they've been fighting in the ICJ, International Court of Justice, they've been saying, oh yeah, we should be getting Diego Garcia, all the island back. We will want to resettle the people. But now they make this agreement with the UK. They exclude Diego Garcia out of the resettlement. How can we trust the Mauritian government?
Yeah, I had no idea. So there's discrimination against people from the Chagos Islands in Mauritius, and why would you want them to be ruling over the island? As you say, there's so many reasons there, and also you have your right to your own sovereignty anyway. You should be able to have that yourself. So can you tell us a bit about what the community of people from the Chagos Islands in this country? Can you tell us a bit about what they're saying? What kind of moves are being made to stop this?
Well, like myself and majority of the community, we are pressing with the government. They should be including the Chagossian into that negotiation before they sign the treaty. So we've been writing to the foreign secretary. Hopefully we will get a response. We never know. Even when David Lammy made the announcement, their speech last Monday, just saying that he was, or his team, included the Chagossian into that negotiation, which was not true. And we had a meeting with the foreign minister Monday before, and he specifically said he will not talk about sovereignty because the negotiation was still ongoing. And then 3 days down the line, they make this statement of intent that they are going to hand sovereignty to Mauritius. But they are not engaging with the Chagossian community, even though the UN has said they need to put the Chagossian at the center of that negotiation. And even the advisory opinion, one of the judge, I believe it was Judge Gaja, I quote what he said. He said the General Assembly may have considered that as a result of the process of decolonization, the archipelago will become part of Mauritius. However, the General Assembly may revisit the issue and in particular take into account the will of the Chagossian. That's a judge from the International Court of Justice who said that.
Yeah, it makes no sense why you wouldn't be part of that discussion. So do you think it's still not too late?
Well, it's still not too late. Still not too late. There's been kind of negotiation between UK and Mauritius happening in the past, and it has never been concluded. So a couple of years ago, James Cleverly became the foreign secretary. He announced negotiation with Mauritius that's been carried on. But the Labour government came into power. They had the chance to stop it and revisit the negotiation, how it was done, and including the Chagossian, but they did not do it. They just came out like to say, yeah, Tory has started the negotiation. They had 11 rounds, but we have done it in 2 weeks. That's not to be proud of. Again, you are abusing the Chagossian human rights. We need to make people aware of what's going on. It's been a similar case with the Windrush scandal. And like Chagossian have a right to decide. The people from Falkland had a right to decide the future. The people on Gibraltar had a right to decide the future. Why the Chagossian can't have the same right?